Syphilis. Syphilis doesn't knock. It infiltrates. It enters quietly, plants a flag, and vanishes. Just long enough for you to think the war is over. A single painless sore appears on the genitals, anus, and mouth. No pain, no warning. Then, it heals. But that disappearance is the lie. While the skin pretends everything is fine, Treponema pallidum is already moving through the bloodstream, slipping past defenses your immune system can't grab. Weeks later, it returns wearing a different mask. A rash on palms and soles, fever, swollen nodes, sore throat, hair falling out in patches. Symptoms so vague doctors mistake it for everything else. Then syphilis goes silent, latent, invisible, but never gone. In the dark, it infiltrates deeper structures: the brain, nerves, eyes, heart, bones. Years later, the real war erupts: tertiary syphilis. Neurosyphilis rewrites personality. Tabes dorsalis destroys movement. Cardiovascular syphilis stretches the aorta until it bursts. And in pregnancy, syphilis becomes merciless: stillbirth, deformities, newborn death. The twist? This entire war is preventable. Penicillin ends syphilis at every stage. One shot early, weekly shots late. IV for the brain. No resistance, not in 80+ years. But damage doesn't rewind. Blindness stays. Paralysis stays. Personality changes stay. 7 million infections a year. Rising. Higher risks in MSM, people with HIV, those with multiple partners, and anyone missing routine screening. Myths keep the war alive. The sore healed? I'm fine. I can get it from toilet seats. Syphilis is a patient enemy. It hides, it waits. It punishes the one human weakness history never solves: the danger that doesn't hurt. Chlamydia. Chlamydia doesn't storm the gates. It slips through the cracks, silent, painless, unnoticed. Most people feel nothing. That's the trick. Chlamydia trachomatis moves through vaginal, anal, or oral sex. During childbirth, it can enter a newborn's lungs or eyes. Symptoms: when they show, whisper instead of shout. Mild discharge, burning with urination, pain with sex, testicular ache, or nothing at all. While silence settles on the outside, the invasion happens inside. Chlamydia enters cells in the cervix, urethra, throat, rectum, eyes, multiplying quietly, creating inflammation too subtle to notice, until the damage is irreversible. In women, it climbs into the uterus and fallopian tubes. Pelvic inflammatory disease follows: scars, blocked tubes, infertility, ectopic pregnancies. In men, epididymitis, pain, swelling, rare infertility. In anyone, reactive arthritis, joints, eyes, urethra in revolt. Newborns face blindness or pneumonia before they can walk. The irony? Chlamydia is one of the easiest STIs to cure. Doxycycline for a week? Done. Azithromycin for pregnancy. But antibiotics erase bacteria, not scars. It is the most reported bacterial STI in North America. Highest in ages 15 to 29, the group least likely to feel symptoms at all. Myths fuel the spread. No symptoms means I'm good. You can't get it from oral or anal sex. It's minor. A single sex act can carry a 30 to 50% transmission risk. Chlamydia doesn't scream. It doesn't flare. It doesn't warn. It just waits in the background, hoping you don't look for it until it's too late. Gonorrhea. Gonorrhea doesn't sneak. It attacks. Neisseria gonorrhoeae grabs mucous membranes, urethra, cervix, rectum, throat, eyes, and multiplies like it's racing a clock. Half of infected people feel nothing. The other half feel everything. Men get burning and colored discharge within days. Women get thicker discharge, spotting, and pelvic pain that looks like normal cramps. Rectal infections hurt. Throat infections almost never do. But the real threat isn't the symptoms. It's the damage underneath. In women, pelvic inflammatory disease, infertility, chronic pain, ectopic pregnancy. In men, epididymitis, infertility risk. In both, bloodstream spread, fever, arthritis, skin lesions. Gonorrhea's evolutionary tactic? Adaptation. It clings with pili, hides inside cells, and switches its outer coat constantly, preventing the immune system from recognizing it. Antibiotics have been losing the war for decades. Penicillin, useless. Tetracyclines, gone. Ciprofloxacin, failed. Azithromycin, collapsing. Ceftriaxone is the last stronghold, and now cracks are showing. Super strains have emerged in Japan, the UK, and Europe. One act of sex can transmit it up to 50% of the time. The throat quietly trains gonorrhea to resist every cure we throw. New drugs are coming, but slowly. Gonorrhea isn't just an infection, it's a race, one we're close to losing. Trichomoniasis. Trichomoniasis is not a virus, not a bacterium, it's a parasite, a flagellated shapeshifter that disguises itself as every other vaginal issue people think they've seen before. It moves only through genital contact, mostly vaginal sex, because it can't survive long outside the body. Only 30% ever feel symptoms. That's its power. Women get frothy, smelly discharge, itching, burning, pain with sex or urination, often mistaken for yeast or BV. Men usually feel nothing, maybe a mild drip, maybe nothing at all. Meanwhile, Trichomonas vaginalis clings to the urethral or vaginal lining, disrupts the microbiome, and creates low-grade inflammation that quietly raises the risk of HIV, other STIs, preterm birth, low birth weight. The twist? It's extremely easy to kill. One dose of metronidazole or tinidazole, gone. 7 days for stubborn cases. Safe in pregnancy. No alcohol unless you enjoy violent nausea. But reinfection is the trap. If partners aren't treated together, 17% get reinfected within 3 months. It is more common than chlamydia and gonorrhea combined. 156 million cases a year, yet massively underdiagnosed because most STI panels don't check for it unless you ask. Trich doesn't roar. It lingers, it irritates, it hides in plain sight, wearing the costume of something harmless until someone finally tests for the parasite underneath. Pubic lice, crabs. Pubic lice don't pretend to be bacteria. They show up fully formed, claws, legs, and a mission. Find hair thick enough to hold onto and stay there. They spread through skin-to-skin contact during sex, rarely through bedding or towels. They die in 24 to 48 hours off the body. They can't fly, can't jump. They crawl. Slowly, stubbornly. Itching begins 5 to 30 days later, the kind that feels like something is alive down there, because something is. Look closely and you'll see them. Tiny specks attached to hair. Their eggs glue themselves to shafts like grains of sand. They don't invade the bloodstream. They stay outside, feeding on tiny sips of blood and leaving blue-gray spots behind. The cure, easy. Permethrin or pyrethrin, stronger meds for stubborn cases, hot wash bedding, seal unwashables. Treat every partner from the last month. No immunity. You can catch them again next weekend. Crabs decline globally thanks to grooming. Less hair means less habitat. But they still appear in people with multiple partners or dense pubic hair. They spread slower than STIs, faster than embarrassment. Crabs aren't dangerous. They're disruptive, annoying, masters of turning one tiny itch into full panic. They don't hide inside you. They build their world on the outside, and one hair is all they need. Scabies. Scabies isn't loud. It doesn't erupt with fever or pain on day one. It burrows into the skin and waits for your body to catch on. Transmission requires time, prolonged skin-to-skin contact, sex, shared beds. Not handshakes, not toilet seats. It starts with nighttime itching, the kind that wakes you up. Then bumps, blisters, hives on fingers, wrists, elbows, nipples, waistline, buttocks, and genitals. Sometimes burrows appear, thin, wavy lines, sometimes not. First-time infections take 2 to 6 weeks to show. Reinfections show in days. Scratching opens the skin to staph or strep, impetigo, cellulitis, and abscesses. Then there's crusted scabies. Millions of mites, thick crusts, explosive spread. It destroys nursing homes when missed. Mites live only in the top layer of skin. Females burrow, lay eggs, hatch, repeat. The cure is simple. If people follow instructions, permethrin 5% from neck down. Every crease, every fold. Overnight. Repeat in a week. Ivermectin for severe cases. Everyone close must treat, or scabies returns like it never left. Globally, 200 million affected at any given time. It spreads slower than viruses, faster than crabs, and with terrifying speed and crusted outbreaks. Myths distract from reality. Dirty people get it. Anti-itch creams cure it. Animals gave it to me. Scabies doesn't hide inside the body. It hides on it, waiting for the night you scratch hard enough to realize something has been living there all along. LGV, LGV isn't the chlamydia people think they know. It doesn't stay on the surface. It burrows deeper, turning soft tissue into a battlefield. It spreads through vaginal, anal, oral sex. But modern outbreaks strike hardest among MSM, especially with receptive anal sex. 3 to 30 days after exposure, a small painless ulcer appears, usually unnoticed. It heals fast. But inside the rectum, LGV begins its real campaign. Rectal pain, bloody mucus, constipation. Tenesmus, that constant urge to go, often misdiagnosed as hemorrhoids or IBD. Then the lymph nodes swell, firm, painful, matted together. Groin buboes may rupture and drain for months. Fever, fatigue, joint pain follow. Left untreated, LGV destroys lymph channels, scars rectal tissue, creates strictures, fistulas, genital swelling, even elephantiasis. It hides inside macrophages, spreading through the lymph system, creating necrotizing granulomas. Standard chlamydia tests don't always flag it. LGV requires specific typing many clinics don't run unless they suspect it. Treatment works, but only if done properly. Doxycycline for 21 days, not 7, not 1 pill. Partners from the last 60 days must be treated. Even cured, scars can remain. LGV is rare in the general population but concentrated in tight sexual networks, MSM with HIV, multiple partners, or in major cities. Rectal shedding continues even as symptoms fade, allowing outbreaks to stay alive quietly. Myths delay care. It's just bad chlamydia. It only happens in the tropics. No symptoms means no problem. The L2B strain dominates today, aggressive, persistent, and global. LGV is a quiet intruder. It digs deeper than most STIs, layer by layer, until the body realizes something has been rewriting the tissue from the inside out. Herpes. This is the infection that doesn't conquer territory. It occupies it. Herpes doesn't storm the gates. It steps across the border quietly, sets up camp near your nerves, and declares, "I live here now." HSV1 usually arrives in childhood. A kiss, a shared spoon, a moment too innocent for suspicion. HSV2 takes the classic route. Sex, skin, contact. Two different doors, same destination. Transmission isn't dramatic. It happens in the silence, when skin looks normal, when no sores exist, when everyone thinks they're safe. Most infections spread in moments people don't remember. Then comes the first outbreak, the invasion everyone imagines. Tingling, burning clusters, fever, body aches, or nothing at all. Almost half never recognize the first battle. But this isn't a one-time siege. Herpes retreats into the nerves, HSV1 near the ear, HSV2 near the spine, waiting for stress, hormones, sunlight, or exhaustion to crack open a door. Reactivations aren't grand assaults, they're skirmishes. A tiny crack mistaken for dryness, a tingling moment before lightning. Herpes doesn't need wounds to spread. Shedding is invisible, unpredictable. A war fought in shadows. Sometimes it takes darker routes. Herpes in the eye threatening vision, encephalitis invading the brain, neonatal herpes overwhelming a newborn before the world names them. But those disasters are the outliers. Herpes doesn't aim to kill. It aims to coexist. There is no cure, but there is control. Acyclovir, valacyclovir. Daily suppression turns a loud infection into background static. Fewer outbreaks, lower transmission, peace instead of panic. Undiagnosed stigma causes more suffering than the virus itself. 4 billion people carry HSV1. 500 million carry HSV2. A silent global empire, built not through violence, but through presence. The myths do the damage. Cold sores aren't STDs. Condoms prevent everything. HSV2 means cheating. None of these hold truth. Herpes doesn't conquer, it settles. A lifelong passenger, waking and sleeping in cycles. A reminder that not all invasions arrive with fanfare. Some arrive to stay. HIV. This is the virus that didn't just attack the body, it rewrote the rules of a generation. HIV doesn't burst in like a conquering army. It arrives quietly, stepping into the bloodstream and picking apart the immune system cell by cell. Its paths are specific: blood, semen, vaginal fluids, rectal secretions, breast milk. Everything else, saliva, sweat, mosquitoes, stays outside the story. A few weeks after exposure, the first signal appears: a fever, a sore throat, a rash, night sweats, a flu that isn't a flu. Most people miss it. Some never feel it at all. Then HIV retreats. It sinks into CD4 cells, weaving its code into their DNA, building hidden reservoirs in lymph nodes. Life continues normally for years, but slowly, silently, the fortress weakens. When the walls fall, opportunistic infections step through: pneumocystis pneumonia, toxoplasma in the brain, cryptococcal meningitis. Cancers like Kaposi's sarcoma leave purple marks across skin. This is AIDS, not a new infection, but HIV left unchallenged long enough to win. And then medicine flipped the battlefield. Antiretroviral therapy doesn't cure HIV, but it corners it, traps it, and crushes its ability to replicate. Viral loads drop to undetectable. And once undetectable, HIV cannot be transmitted sexually. U equals undetectable, which equals untransmittable. A revolution in 3 letters: 1 pill a day, or injections every month or 2. CD4 counts rise, energy returns. Life expectancy aligns with everyone else, as long as treatment continues. HIV stays lifelong because it hides deeper than medicine can currently reach. Miss enough doses, and resistance evolves. The virus adapts. The strategy must shift. 40 million people live with HIV. 1 in 8 don't know. Testing is the front line. Treatment is the defense. Stigma is the enemy that keeps the virus moving. Worst cases come from silence: the person undiagnosed for a decade, the newborn infected when treatment wasn't available, the immune system collapsing under infections it once defeated easily. HIV no longer writes death sentences, but it demands awareness, discipline, and the understanding that the virus wins in the dark and loses under light. HPV isn't an invader with dramatic symptoms. It's the quiet operator, slipping between skin cells, rewriting instructions, working in whispers instead of wounds. It spreads easily: skin to skin, genital to genital, oral to genital, sometimes without penetration at all. Condoms help but can't form a perfect wall. HPV moves around the edges. Most people feel nothing. Most people never know. And that silence is how the virus becomes universal. Almost 80% of sexually active people encounter it. HPV wears 2 faces. First, the loud one: genital warts. Soft, raised bumps from HPV 6 and 11. Annoying, visible, memorable. Second, the dangerous one: high-risk HPV, especially types 16 and 18. No warts, no itch, no pain, just slow genetic edits in the cervix, anus, throat, penis, vulva, vagina, changes that take years to become precancer, and years more to become cancer. HPV never enters the bloodstream. It stays in surface cells, hijacking DNA one silent division at a time. Most infections clear naturally in 1 to 2 years. The immune system wins quietly. But persistent infections are the problem, and screening is the solution. Pap tests and HPV tests catch abnormalities long before cancer develops. There's no cure for HPV itself, but we can erase its consequences. Freeze warts, remove lesions, watch mild abnormalities until they fade. Then came the game changer: vaccination. Gardasil 9 slashed rates of warts and precancers by over 90%. Countries with high vaccination rates are moving toward eliminating cervical cancer as a public health threat. HPV is global, widespread, misunderstood. Myths cloud everything. Only women need to worry. HPV means cheating. Condoms make you immune. Abnormal pap equals cancer. All false. HPV doesn't roar. It waits, moving through populations silently, shaping futures in decades-long arcs. A reminder that not all threats strike suddenly. Some build in layers until prevention stops them in their tracks. Hepatitis B. This is the virus that doesn't spread casually. It spreads with purpose. Hepatitis B needs blood, semen, or bodily fluids. Real entry points and real contact. A razor, a toothbrush, a birth, a needle, sex without protection. Those are the roads it travels. When symptoms arrive, they look like exhaustion wearing a disguise. Nausea, dark urine, pale stools, fever, aching joints, pain beneath the ribs, eyes turning yellow as the liver strains. But half of all infections stay silent, especially in children. Some people clear HBV, others don't, and that's where the danger shifts. Chronic infection is slow, relentless, a simmer instead of a flame. Inflammation builds year after year until scar tissue replaces healthy liver cells, cirrhosis tightening its grip. For some, cancer follows, born from decades of unnoticed damage. HBV lives inside liver cells, storing tiny reservoirs of viral DNA that modern medicine still can't fully erase. That's why curing chronic hepatitis B is difficult. The virus hides in stability. Acute infection has no specific antiviral treatment. The body handles it. Chronic infection relies on powerful suppressive therapy. Tenofovir, entecavir, daily pills that push viral load down and risk down with it. Liver ultrasounds, blood tests, long-term vigilance over panic. HBV plays the long game. Incubation can stretch 5 months. Chronic infection can hide for 20 to 30 years before symptoms surface. By then, damage may be advanced. 800,000 people die yearly from HBV complications. Almost 300 million live with chronic HBV. The numbers are staggering, but preventable. The vaccine changed everything. One of the strongest vaccines in medical history. Newborns protected within hours of birth. Entire countries watching liver cancer decline because vaccination broke the cycle. The myths do the harm. It spreads through mosquitoes. It's a foreign problem. If I feel fine, I'm fine. If I'm careful, I don't need the vaccine. All wrong. HBV spreads faster than HIV through blood, slower than chlamydia through sex, but with consequences far heavier than most STIs. Hepatitis B is defined by patience. Damage built over decades, risk carried silently, lives changed by what people never saw coming. But with vaccination and treatment, the story can shift completely. HBV isn't unbeatable. It's a reminder that slow infections require fast knowledge. If you made it this far, you now understand something most people never do. Thank you for watching Toon Sticky Nation. From your trusty and slightly frazzled sticky note.